Hi, this is Dave, Fell Running Guide. Just a quick little lesson video today. This is from a navigation course I did at the weekend, and just a bit of feedback and learning from the experiences that we had. So I set the runners a task to get from this 623 spot height here. We knew we were there. We'd successfully navigated to there. We were definitely confident we were there, and I wanted them to get to this pond here over at Crowden Head. So how did they consider going about that? Well, they discussed a few ways to do it, and what they thought they'd do was, rather than go through the maze of streams here, would be to try take a dry line up and around almost this watershed here. These black dots, by the way, are not paths at all. They are just political boundaries, so ignore the thought that they might be anything on the ground. But basically the plan was to go due north for 150 meters, to go due west for 250 meters, and then to go on an accurate compass bearing southwestwards, just clipping the top of these rocks here for 450 meters, which would take them to that pond, or actually slightly beyond that pond. Yeah, and they were going to know their distances by pacing. They knew how many paces they took for 100 meters. So that was the actual plan that they came up with. However, in reality, the pink line or the purpley line is what they actually did. So what went wrong? So I've put the two traces side by side here so we can compare. So first of all, they should have gone up to this sort of watershed between the two streams, and if we look, we didn't go far enough north there, so we're shy of 150 meters. And then on the westerly bearing, started westerly but slightly dropped south of west into here. So rather than being up here to take the final bearing, they started off here. And then just look at the inaccuracy of this final leg. So on the planned route, southwesterly bearing, on here, look, the purple line, they start coming much more towards south than they should have been doing. So coming down here, so they were quite a way off, further south than they intended to be. Other things that they did, they went through this rocky ground here to the south of it rather than to the north. Thankfully they didn't carry on, so they got to a point here where they realized the ground was starting to drop away ahead of them, so they decided to head northwest, looking for the pond. And then they got to a point here where they could see water draining away to the west, so they thought, right, well, we're not where we want to be. Now, one of the runners en route had seen a small pile of stones, a small cairn. So what we did, we went back to that, and they thought that the cairn was this 632 spot height here. Just go to this next map, it'll show you a little bit more clearly. So the 632 spot height is actually under that black dot there. So they went to the cairn thinking, right, well, that'll be the 632 height, and we'll take an accurate compass bearing and pace out to the pond. But what happened was they paced out their distance, and they were really happy that they'd gone far enough, and they were really happy that they'd gone on the right bearing, but no pond. So what they did then was said, right, we're going to just start searching around for it. Went pretty much back due eastwards and found this puddle. Okay, so what were they expecting to find? Well, they were obviously expecting to find a pond, and in reality they just came upon this soggy, boggy ground. This isn't a photograph from the day. This is a bit more pronounced than we actually found it on the day, so it wasn't what they had in their mind's eye as what a pond would be like. So what are the lessons that we can learn from that? Well, first of all, you need to know accurately how many paces you take for 100 meters on rough ground. So they'd practice it walking on flat ground, but not on rough ground. So what they thought was 150 meters actually wasn't. So first of all, knowledge of pacing. Secondly, it is really easy to drift off your compass bearing, especially when running. When walking, not so difficult because you can keep looking up. You're less likely to trip and fall over. But running, especially on rough ground, hard to stick on a bearing. Another thing is look for clues as you're going along. So these folks expected to be on this watershed here with no streams, but they actually went through these little streams. So that might have been an alarm bell that they were too far south. And then likewise, going through this rocky ground, they should have been up just clipping the top of the rocks, and they found themselves through the middle or even to the south of them. So that should have been an alarm bell. Again, we can talk about the accuracy of the compass bearing. Stop and check, because at this point here, they were way off what they actually should have been doing. And then finally, looking at features. The little pile of stones, little cairn that I mentioned, we went back and checked afterwards with mapping software, and it wasn't the 632 spot height, or it wasn't where that was on the map. So someone at some stage in history had decided to make a little pile of cairns. It was less than a foot high, or about a foot high, but that wasn't there. Okay, so it was down here, which meant that their bearing was, although the bearing was correct, it didn't take them to where they wanted to be. So that's that. And also water features. So they were maybe thinking, well, we'll get close to that and we'll be able to spot a pond. But really that pond was just boggy ground, and we'd run over a lot of boggy ground anyway. So it wasn't as clear and obvious as maybe they were thinking. So lots to learn from that. It's good. I think it's good to get things wrong slightly rather than finding things and navigating to your destination really easily. You don't learn as much from that, but if you get it slightly wrong, you do. But anyway, I thought I'd just share that with you. I found it interesting, and we had a good day out. I hope that's useful. Thanks for watching.